Let's shift our focus now. Cracks are emerging between Israel and its longtime ally, the United States. The rifts between the two sides becoming more prominent, with Washington making its strongest public criticism of Israel's conduct in Gaza. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Israel lacks a credible plan to protect some 1.4 million civilians in Rafah. He warns that Israel's attack in the southern city of Gaza can create an insurgency by failing to kill all Hamas militants.
Israel's on the trajectory potentially to inherit an insurgency with many armed Hamas left, or if it leaves, a vacuum filled by chaos, filled by anarchy, and probably refilled by Hamas.
Blinken also confirmed Biden's decision to put a hold on weapons to Israel. The interview was dominated by Biden's decision to pause the shipment of bombs to Israel and a State Department report that Israel's use of U.S.-supplied arms may have broken international law. According to reports, to discuss ceasefire efforts and humanitarian aid access in Gaza, Turkish intelligence chief Ibrahim Kalin engaged in talks with Hamas officials, including Ismail Haniyeh, in Doha. Now, Turkish president has also slammed the United States and Europe for not doing enough to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza. He believes there isn't enough pressure on Israel to make them agree to a truce, which Hamas had accepted earlier. This comes as Turkey has time and again denounced Israel's attacks on Gaza. Ankara has also decided to join South Africa's initiative to have Israel tried, along with Egypt, which has announced its intention to formally support South Africa's case at the International Court of Justice. Despite pressure from several nations and alarm expressed by residents and humanitarian groups, Israel continues to proceed with an incursion into Rafah. As thousands of Gazans take refuge in Deir al-Bala, the displaced civilians have set up sprawling tents in the town, including along the Mediterranean seashore. On the battlefield, an Israeli airstrike in Sabra neighborhood of Gaza City, it's killed a senior member of a Palestinian militant group, Democratic Front. They've also sent tanks into eastern Jabalia in the northern Gaza Strip after a night of heavy aerial and ground bombardments. On the other hand, the militant group Hezbollah has unveiled a new heavy rocket. Hezbollah says the rocket targeted several Israeli positions at Mount Dov. The rocket, which has been used by the militant group, has been named as Jihad Mughnieh in reference to Jihad Mughnieh, who was the son of leader Imad Mughnieh. Both of them had been eliminated in Israeli-linked attacks. While on the humanitarian front, Israel has opened new aid crossings into the Gaza Strip. The coordination with the U.S., according to the IDF, the crossing is called Western Arez. It has been opened in the northern Gaza Strip in order to transfer humanitarian aid. For more on this, we were earlier joined by Colonel Rich Outzen from Washington, D.C. He's a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council and the Jamestown Foundation. Listen to what he had to say.
Well, this is certainly in the last 30 years the biggest gap, the biggest difference of opinion that the policy elites in Washington and Jerusalem have had. There's been differences over the peace process and the Oslo process and sort of the conduct of different Gaza operations. It's never come to this point, certainly since maybe the Reagan administration or perhaps George Herbert Walker Bush's administration. So we're talking 30, 35 years. This is a generational difference and tension between the two capitals. What does it mean? Well, it doesn't mean that the United States is going to punish Israel at this stage. I mean, certainly on both sides of the aisle, the Democrats and the Republicans both still are very much in favor of Israel's security and still feel a great affinity for Israel. But what it means is that Netanyahu has gotten Israel into a position of non-consultation or ineffective consultation with Washington to the point where we can't achieve a common strategy. That's highly unusual. I think what it means is that there's real question marks both in Israel and the United States about the course and the conduct of this war. It doesn't mean, again, that there's some shift in the essential support of the United States for Israel. I don't think that's what we're talking about. But it just raises the question mark that, since October, it's been 7 months now that we've been engaged in watching the conduct of this military operation in a very, very small territory, and there's still not a good political strategy for how it ends.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.